uh, specifically Anaheim Hills, although we are part of 5 schools of the Fairmont family, 3 that go preschool through 8th grade, 1 that goes preschool through 12th grade, and then the Preparatory Academy, which goes grade 9 through 12. And as I said, today we are going to focus in on middle school at Anaheim Hills. So welcome. And let me introduce you to our team first. The Anaheim Hills admin team consists of myself, Tobin Bechtel, as head of school, Mrs. Talia Lerma, associate head of school for preschool through 1st grade, and Mrs. Bethany Reed, who is our associate head of school for 2nd to 5th grade. And joining me is Jenny Hahn, who is our wonderful admissions director. And as you learn more about us, you will definitely be in contact with Mrs. Hahn. And Jenny, did you want to add anything there and say hello?
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Jenny, and hopefully I will get to meet all of you in person for a campus tour.
Great. So let's jump right in. And excited about being able to show you our middle school. As I said, we start in preschool. A lot of our students come here for multiple years. In fact, I would say almost about a quarter of our students start in preschool and go all the way up to middle school. We have new students that join us every year, so it makes it a really great family. At the moment, our middle school basically goes up to about 50 students per grade level. And as you can see here, we work on a block schedule. And what I really enjoy about middle school is that transition from coming out of upper elementary. At Fairmont, we do a little bit of transition in our homeroom in 4th and 5th grade and working with a wider variety of teachers. But in middle school, we really go out to this kind of true block schedule, which is the perfect segue in getting ready for high school as well. You can see that we do extended periods. And we have an alternating block schedule, essentially. So our Monday and Wednesdays are largely the same. Tuesdays and Thursdays go through the other half of the classes. And then our Fridays flip every other week. And that gives us some flexibility in order to be able to space out things like assessments, to make sure that we're able to give a good classroom block of time where we can not only introduce new material, but we're also really working with students collaboratively, both with teachers and in groups, that kids are really kind of digging deeply into what I would call amazing learning. And then you can see on the bottom there are classes, and we're going to go into each one of these subject areas. On the surface, it should seem familiar. These are what happens in many middle schools. What we really like here is the holistic aspect that we take approach-wise. So we're really trying to balance all courses with the same amount of time that they meet, and that our teaching team really is able to compare notes and work together. So that's kind of our overall for our block schedule.
I also did want to add in that we also do have a built-in flex period after lunch.
Yep.
Know that flex period is our independent study hall because students are rotating from different classes and they have 8 different teachers. This gives them the opportunity to do their homework, study for a test, get ahead of the game, or if you have been out for a couple of days, to just kind of catch up to where you need to be. So it is a built-in flex period, which benefits a lot of our students and who have embraced the opportunity that they have to do this independent study hall.
And I think there too, some people have tried to call it homeroom, and it is different than that. Flex teachers are basically one of the main points of contact for parents and such, but at the same time, what they're trying to help each student with is about making sure that they're being successful in all their classes. So Flex actually allows students to travel from class to class if they need to find extra help in math per se. It doesn't matter that their Flex teacher is the literature teacher. They are able to go talk to their math teacher, get that extra help, and come back. And the way that we're really working with it, and we also allow students to take collaborative time. So this week, for instance, we've had a huge science project going on. And so we have a lot of students during flex time getting together to actually continue work on things that they can do in the lab or getting ready their presentations, those type of things. So to me, it's one of those really powerful steps, again, on the way to high school, but that we're giving students this kind of larger independence as they're coming to middle school, but in a very structured way. The other thing that's really quite nice about our schedule too is we do start at 8. You start seeing a lot of start times at schools being pushed further and further earlier in the morning. But our students come in, they have a good transition. We have school supplied iPads that students are able to pick up at the beginning of the day, and they travel through the day with them. And that digital technology is really integrated into our entire curriculum. Is that good enough for now? There we go. Go ahead and dive into our subjects, actually. Uh,
Wonderful.
Go for it.
One of our subjects that we offer, so one of the periods is math. And for us at Fairmont, we provide students and we group students based off of their ability. So it's not a general class for sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. It does mirror that of a high school where it is subject based. So students will take pre-algebra readiness, pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, or algebra 2. For example, if a student is taking pre-algebra in fifth grade, in sixth grade they would go into an algebra 1 class. The highest that we go up to is algebra 2, and Fairmont does teach your grade level up, so we do provide that rigorous academics. In addition to that, we offer IXL, which we have expanded on a little bit more for this year. IXL, for those of you who don't know, is an individualized math program.
And that program really allows for our teachers to differentiate the learning with our students. So even when they're in a pre-algebra class, if they're showing aptitude in one area, we can push them ahead. We can also help them with anything they might have gap-wise. And as you know, finding those gaps is really critically important, especially at the middle school age, because if you have misconceptions that linger, it can really have a knock-on effect. So this helps our teachers kind of make sure that they're tracking the progress and finding places where they might need that help to excel further. The other great thing is when you come into the Fairmont system, math has always been something that we pride ourselves on. Our test scores are fantastic. And we have a lot of students that go on to the preparatory academy and go to the highest levels of AP or IB diploma math. And so I think that's something that this really sets them up on the road to success in the area of math overall.
In addition to that, yes, there is an accelerated for those who have a natural inclination for math. For those students who just need a little more support, IXL also provides the students that support as well in reviewing certain topics. Again, it is individualized to that student to support where needed and challenge where needed.
Great. Well, let's go ahead into middle school English and literature. And we have English and literature. Essentially, we actually almost offer a double course, I guess you could say, in the sense that English and literature are actually 2 blocks out of the 8 block schedule. And that allows us to dig deep into novel studies and literature that way, but also making sure that we're emphasizing the writing, the grammar, those aspects of communication that are so critical for future success in academics, but also across all your subject areas. And as you can see, we have I would say, a really nice blended um, approach to how we work with novel studies, that we both go back historically, but also that we're really looking at balancing creativity. Actually tackling a lot of tough topics was used to very much in other schools that we do, Anne Frank, more like in grade 8. And so we're still following that, pushing ahead by a year and really honoring what our students do in digging into concepts that are going to challenge about their perspectives on the world, how they actually learn about character development, who they are. We know that in middle school that taking a look at yourself and being able to connect in literature to what you're going through is incredibly important. And we try to balance that with the academic side, so that social emotional balance with the language development, with the composition. So expressing yourself both from a creative point, but also layering in the analytic writing. And we try to take that analytical writing across the different subjects. So as I was saying earlier, we do have opportunities where our English teachers, our English faculty are working with other subjects, whether it's in science and history, of allowing kids to really think about what does it mean to write across different subject areas.
And it all does intertwine. The writing that you'll see in all the different subject areas will reflect the writing that takes place and that they learn, the skills that they learn in the English and literature class. Also, going back to the novel series, we try to keep it as dynamic as possible. We have larger discussions. They do have expository writing that they'll be doing. But in addition to that, in the past, we've also had, specifically when they did the Diary of Anne Frank unit, they also had a Holocaust speaker come and speak to our seventh grade students. We have day field trips. We are planning one for the Museum of Tolerance. We want to make sure that whatever is on paper, we have activities where we have the pages jump out at the students.
And I know we're going fairly fast right now, and I should have said at the beginning, if you do have questions, we put both of our emails up. You can always contact Jenny at jhan@fairmontschools.com. And I think a lot of this becomes even that much more visible if you come in for a tour. And that's one place where you can see the kids really working in this collaborative, interactive fashion and how we're pushing them ahead overall. So I just wanted to mention that because I know we're kind of moving at a fairly breakneck pace here. So, and having said that, should we move on to our next? So
All right, so our science curriculum, in sixth grade, students learn about earth science. Seventh grade, students learn about life science. In eighth grade, they learn about physical science. So you can see all the different topics that they do cover. A lot of science is hands-on activities. We have a science lab where students will work on those hands-on engaging activities. Sometimes they'll be there for a day. Sometimes they'll be at the science lab for a week. A lot of our students also will participate in some of our county level, science level competitions. We had a student last year who went to the state level. So we also do have a lot of students who participate in science fair competitions. We also have Science Olympiad. Science Olympiad is an academic competition that our students will practice for. And our students who, they are just natural born leaders, they also brought their Science Olympiad competition to some of our elementary school students because they themselves want to be leaders and continue to share their passion for science to some of our students who are in elementary school. So there's different life skills that they do learn in science, and they do a lot of hands-on engaging activities as well.
yeah, I would say science is incredibly robust here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see just way that kids getting involved of their own volition. Almost half of our students are voluntarily participating in Science Olympiad, preparing those extra projects and things. And I think a lot of those come out of what they engage with in class, and that there's a lot of opportunities for them to really be scientists. And at sixth grade, they're really actually learning how to develop hypotheses properly and testing those and figuring out a lot of times the majority of our units are connected to real life issues. So, for instance, at the current time, I think our grade 8 is working on energy and taking a look at sustainable energy and what are some of the both roadblocks and challenges that have happened, but also the places of successes. And I think that's incredibly important that we're really thinking about, you know, what kind of risks are taken? How do things work in the real world? And students really gravitate towards that. And I think that's one of the reasons why our kids are taking the time to participate in science well beyond the classroom. Okay. I know that we can keep talking all day about a lot of these things. And the dangerous one for me is history because my background as a teacher was in history. So this is my favorite area. So I'll try to keep it succinct. This on the surface looks like a fairly regular approach. What we have happening underneath these subjects and things is that the just like with our scientists, we are encouraging our students to actually be historians. Right from grade 6, we're really going into the idea of multiple perspectives, how different viewpoints emerge when you're taking a look at history. What is evidence? How do we interpret it? What do you actually think it happened? So it's not just about reading a textbook and saying this is what happened or creating timelines and things. Yes, we do that to put things in context, but we really want our students to dig in as critical thinkers, and we encourage multiple ways of doing that. As you look through the grade 6 area and that comparison approach of ancient history, we're actually really digging into the concepts of ancient civilizations, what actually helped and hindered the success of these civilizations, and what do we see coming out of that that actually moves towards applying to today? What lessons can we learn from the past? And it's not just that simplistic of history will repeat itself if you don't learn from it. But going beyond that, what are we actually digging into that we can see of the ways that people interacted, what mistakes they've made, how they've gained success-wise from that, and then moving from that world issues up into U.S. history, because again, we want them to be very well-rounded when they're coming through middle school and getting ready for the high school experience. But more importantly, it's not always about the content you study, but how you're actually becoming a historian, how you're becoming a critical thinker to use these things in the future and in other classes as well. Did I dominate that one, Jenny?
You
Sorry.
did, and nice and succinct.
All right, then I'll let people send me emails about that one if they want. Uh, okay, PE, physical education, because they have to get outside too.
Yes, it's a good balance. We need to make sure the academics are there, but we're also learning to be healthy, go outside, run around. But for us, it's running around, but also with an agenda in mind. Our students will have PE as part of the curriculum. It's one of the classes that they'll take. So they will have PE 3 times a week. They are expected to change out of their uniforms into their PE uniforms. They have different areas where they will participate in, where it's they get graded on effort, participation, citizenships, but really also just focus on physical conditioning and healthy eating, as well, and nutrition. We do have different sports that we incorporate. So students will play just in the regular classes: volleyball, baseball, basketball, hockey, flag football, soccer. They also learned pickleball. So learning the rules of engagement for that. That is not something that our students typically play, and that is something that is introduced or our students had played in the past. After school, we do have some team sports that students participate in, and they try out for these. And team sports is one where it's a life skill that students will work to continue to hone in. It's not just an eye, it's working collaboratively, working together as a team, communicating, making sure that we are all on the same page, that we all win together. And then sometimes when you don't, it's okay learning also how to work together to work through those emotions. For our students, for boys, for athletics, in the fall, they participate in flag football. Winter, they participate in basketball. And in the spring, they participate in soccer and volleyball. And for our girls, they participate in the fall volleyball, winter basketball, and in the spring they participate in soccer as well as flag football. Last year, our girls flag football team were dominant. They did really well, and in their first couple of games, they were undefeated. So they did really well, and our girls loved absolutely every minute of it.
And our Triway athletics, what's great about our size of school is that if students want to participate, they can be on the team. We don't always guarantee equal play time, but what I see is huge participation from a wide variety of students, and usually across multiple seasons as well. And I think what this does is really gives, in addition to the PE class, is that we're making sure that we're balancing academics with athletics, with that physical movement. And it's that holistic approach that's incredibly important. And I think that's one thing that I've seen a lot of schools cutting back on as they focus just primarily on academics. And we feel that we actually get better results in academics when we try to give balance to this, and that students are applying what they learn on the field in terms of collaboration and cooperation and competition, actually, and putting that back into their academics and classrooms. So this isn't something that's not an afterthought or an add-on. It's something that's integral to our curriculum overall.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's kind of keep on moving. Espanol. Middle school Spanish. Our students in elementary school are also able to have Spanish as an enhancement or kind of exploratory. But when we get into middle school, we start taking that back into our kind of year ahead academics, in the sense of sixth grade is an exploration, but seventh and eighth grade go into high school Spanish 1. And so over 2 years, they're going to basically complete what a freshman would, a grade 9 student in high school would. And so if they move from us to the preparatory academy, they can be in Spanish 2, or if they move into another high school as well. And what I love about the Spanish here is that what we have students is really playing with language. It's not this kind of arcane academic subject and learn your tenses. They do learn those, but I think the way that they're able to take risks and they're pushed in the sense of they're pushing the boundaries of especially verbal communication, but also written. And I'm seeing them take a lot of things that they learn in Spanish and apply to the other classes, but they're also building a really great sense of culture and how they can use language really to, as I said, play, to enjoy themselves, to communicate more broadly, those aspects. So Spanish has been a long time staple here at Anaheim Hills, and it's something that we see that kids often say is one of their favorite classes coming out, even though I often see a lot of sixth graders going in with hesitation. I'm not going to be able to do this, and they come out really speaking well and having a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think those are the what we say as quote unquote core, but we have an eighth block in terms of
Mhm.
elective offerings, and I've been privileged as head of school to be able to do Middle School 101 this first semester, which is a grade 6 required elective, which I know is a little bit contradictory, but we do ask all grade 6 kids as one of their electives to learn a little bit about approaches to middle school, approaches to learning, how to be organized, and really helping them kind of bridge that social emotional gap of moving from teacher to teacher, getting
Mhm.
used to higher expectations and subjects, and trying to provide a bridge for them. After the
Seems like Mr. Bechtel has um, dropped off for a little bit, but he'll be right back. So we do have some elective offerings. Mr. Bechtel was saying that we do have our Middle School 101 elective available. Students take 2 electives per semester, so they can take a total of 4 electives. And for our sixth grade students who are new to our middle school, who have 8 different classes that they rotate through, for some of them, it can feel a little daunting. Our teachers are always there to help, but in the event they need just a little more support, we feel that Middle School 101 class does provide that foundational skill that they need to really just learn how to time manage, organize, and again, that social emotional piece that we want to make sure that we focus on the whole child. Other elective offerings is this year we're offering visual arts, which is more of a drawing and painting mixed media. So they use oil pastel, watercolor. They talk about perspectives. They work on shading. We also have 2D and 3D art. So this is more of, again, the drawing and painting. We also have a digital media art, which is more Photoshop type program, 3D design. We do have a specific 3D design program, and we have a 3D printer on campus where anything that is created in that 3D design program can be printed in the 3D printer. We also have performing arts available second semester. We last year we had Matilda Junior that was that put on the production was put on together. It's more of the performing arts students. So it was a musical last year, and they do put on a performance at the end of the year for the entire school. We have our speech and debate team. They, as an elective, they can there are different types of debates that they'll participate in, and for even those students who don't feel as confident with those public speaking skills, this is that opportunity. This is the forum where they will hone in on those skills. Our students are also participate in different competitions as well, so this is a really great format. Even those students who are a little bit on the shyer side, they take to it because they want to learn these skills. We also offer esports. For a lot of the students, it sounds like they're playing video games, and up to a certain point that they do because they want to apply what they've learned. So esports really talks about the industry, right? It talks about video games. It talks about the sociology piece of it. It talks about the marketing piece of it, why certain companies use a certain color. That they also at the end of the course, they'll do a presentation at the end. They'll create their own video game. They So it's kind of an all-inclusive life skills, presentation skills, kind of an elective. We also have music composition available where they're writing their own music. They will learn different elements of music, and also they will have the option to do more vocals and choir skills. All right, and some additional middle school highlights. We do have different leadership opportunities for our students. We have an associated student body where students can they can petition. I'm not so much petition, but they can go on stage and they can give a speech. They will. It's a president, vice president, secretary, so they get to be elected for these different positions. They get to put up posters, so they campaign for them. We have two associated student body, one per semester, so it gives other students the opportunity to become leaders as well. We also have our National Junior Honor Society where they put on and organize different events on campus. Students have to have a certain GPA to be a part of the National Junior Honor Society. In addition to that, we do have some service trips where we want to make sure our students are giving back to the community. They participate in OC Food Bank, Second Harvest Food Bank, beach cleanup. So we again want to make sure our students are understanding the idea of giving back to the community. And you can also see we just had our middle school spelling bee competition. And we have, again, Science Olympiad, which we mentioned earlier. We also have different math competitions that our students participate in. AMC, American Math Competition, which is for students who are in Algebra 1 and above. And then we're also incorporating Math Olympiad as well, which is very similar to Science Olympiad in that math competition. We have, as we mentioned, DSL and Triway Sports available where students try out for those positions. In addition to that, we have the academic piece, but we continue to give that social piece. We have different fun pep rallies. In the most recent pep rally, our students introduced the teams for that season, but they also had like a pie eating competition. So again, we try to make it as fun and engaging and sometimes silly because again, it's that fine balance of everything. So pep rallies are something that takes place in middle school. Again, we have field trips. In the past, we've gone to Nixon Library, OC Courthouse. We also have those just relax and hang out with your friend type of field trip opportunities are not to Knott's Berry Farm. We have Travel Week as well. And Travel Week is an optional trip, but it's highly recommended. It is a trip where they go for a week long. They go to, it's during the first 2 weeks, within the first 2 weeks in November. Our sixth graders go to the local mountains. They go to the San Bernardino Mountains and they attend science camp. Our seventh grade students went to South Dakota, to the Badlands, and then the eighth grade students this year they went to Washington D.C. because it ties hand in hand with that U.S. history curriculum. Mr. Bechtel actually recently came back from our South Dakota trip. If you want to come share a little bit of that,
and recently back into the webinar too. There we go. Yeah, the trips weeks are fantastic, and in terms of connecting our curriculum to the wider world and the classroom that way. South Dakota, when I first heard about it, I was like, why there? But we could have probably spent 2 to 3 weeks there quite easily, and it connected with our science curriculum, connected with our history curriculum, and it was actually absolutely fantastic. And I think a place that most students don't actually usually get a chance to go. And that coming on the, basically bridging from the science camp from sixth grade, taking South Dakota and then going to basically connecting to DC in grade 8, fantastic connection again. And I think this really, you can see, if you recall the earlier slides about both the history and the science curriculum, how that can actually connect and help kids take to a deeper level. And so what we see is a lot of our curriculum, our projects connecting back to the field trip weeks, the travel weeks all year long. And so it's one of those things that I think makes Fairmont really unique in having that opportunity and being able to connect it to kind of the field trips we do more locally as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and absolutely. Sorry for leaving you in the lurch there, Mrs. Hahn. Didn't mean
It's
to.
okay. It's
Um,
okay.
so I guess
we,
I was getting too eloquent about middle school 101 there. So
I know. It's the universe intervening.
yeah.
um, so again, going back to just kind of the balance of the academic piece of it, we also have school dances on campus, and we have different science spirit weeks where different grade levels will compete against other grade levels. There'll be a theme day each week. So again, we try to keep it as a holistic approach where it's academics and a fine balance of that social, emotional, and just silly learning.
And we really try to give them a framework within that too. I think one of the
Mhm.
things I've really noticed at Fairmont is our middle school experience is that yes, we provide structure, but we're also giving almost the freedom to fail. So a lot of our student groups, like the ASB and the National Junior Honor Society, they really come up with their own ideas, and we will allow them to follow through on that and see really where it goes. And sometimes we actually have some flops, but I think that is actually an incredibly important learning experience because we're not going to let them completely fail, but we do want them to actually go through their experience and learn about how you design events, how you're actually going to drum up support for that, how you're going to market it, how you're going to get people involved. What can we actually do without basically always asking for money? What are the ways that we can get involved in the community? So these are the students grappling with these questions, coming up with tons of great ideas, and then also learning that not all of them will always work. And I think that combined with the academic experience they have is giving them a lot of resilience, and also a lot of success points. And so that's the kind of structure that we want to have in place here, something that's safe for them to actually experiment, to try things out, and know that they might not always work, but we can always improve them for the next time that we move forward.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So yeah, and I think that's the overview overall, if I recall. And we can come back to Mrs. Hahn there. We wanted to give you her email one more time, jhahn@fairmontschools.com. And we hope that you've enjoyed doing a tour with us through our middle school and that you'll come in for a tour and visit us. Just again, Fairmont is just such a fantastic place for your students in the sense of again, allowing them not only to excel academically, but coming back to that holistic aspect and that our community is very, very close knit, and that our students are all known here. They're known by teachers, they're known in the community as a whole. The opportunities that we give them is just something that's unparalleled in many other middle school settings. So thank you for coming, and we hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.